So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast from what can only be described as a rain-soddened Ireland. I'm expecting Noah and his ark to float by the window any minute. It's absolutely torrential here. It's kind of like if any of you saw what the field looked like, or what the stadium looked like, should I say, prior to the Man City game this morning in Seoul in Korea. It was deluge city, and it's much the same here in Ireland. But anyway, hopefully it's not going to be that way over in Maryland, and it doesn't look like it, because I just saw that Jack Grimsey has got a photograph up of them needing umbrellas to keep the shade under some of the presenters because it's so hot out there. So completely different. So for anybody who's in the stadium, you can thank us for taking all the rain from you guys today, okay? Because we're getting it and you guys aren't. So we're doing our little bit here. We're doing our bit. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. We're coming up on 100 people, and we're only on a minute and a half. I won't have Sir Patrick today. Paddy is like last week. I joined you guys from Dublin after the All Ireland hurling final. Sir Patrick is gone to the All Ireland football final because his team Dublin are playing today, and it's on at the moment. And much and all as Paddy loves team sheet tantrums, there was no way he was going mid-game coming out of that game to do a team sheet tantrum to go back in again. So I'm here on my TAD today. I'm going to be relying on all of your comments, but mostly I think we're all going to be really, really looking forward to seeing how Aston Villa line up today. This is the first team sheet tantrum I've done back in the boudoir. Everything I've done so far, I think this season has been on location, shall we say, with a pint in my hand or close by. But this one is my first one in back in the studio, and I must say it's good to have a bit of comforts back again when I'm doing the team sheet tantrum. I don't have my little junior executive producer like you guys saw earlier on with me. He is inside, probably puking all over the place. But I might be joined by my sound engineer. She might be coming in later on, my little lady, because I can hear her there running around the place looking to see where's daddy. So she may just burst in the door any minute. So if she does, I apologize, and I also empathize with you guys because she's very loud in equal measure. Anyway, team sheet should be out in about 7 minutes. Did I see that somebody said that they were in the stadium? Justin W at the stadium. Excellent, Justin. Mind telling us what it's like there, what the Villa, I suppose, what the Villa turnout is like, and what the atmosphere is around it? Because I think this summer Premier League series has been well received in the United States. I'm really glad the club are on this, because there's been some very, very entertaining games, and none of the games have been bore fests. Well, none of the games we've been involved in have been bore fests, but I think all the games have had an element of real excitement to them. And I think of the, obviously the clubs that are there are and I don't think I'm kind of offending anybody. I'm certainly not offending this club when you say we're the next tier down from the top four that are there for this. And it's made for a really interesting preseason build-up, because God be with the days when Villa used to go to Sweden and beat teams 11-0. In the Swedish league probably is just after finishing up, and Villa are going out there and they're just starting up, and it was just a bit of a cattle drive really for Villa. But these have been really meaningful games in really meaningful settings. Obviously, there's been a climate training with doing all the training in the real warm weathers and obviously the thunderstorms that they've had there recently. So I think all in all, we could call this one a success, more of a success than last season as well, because if you remember down in Australia last season, some of the games were pretty pedestrian. We had the game against Leeds where we both kicked lumps out of each other. But the games were pretty pedestrian at times. These games and this series I've been pretty impressed with it so far, and I must say, well done to the Premier League for putting it on, and also well done for Villa the way that they've handled themselves with regards to these games, and the way that they've prepared, and the way they've taken it really seriously. And you'd expect nothing less than that under the professor himself, Unai Emery. Couple of your comments there. So Simon, good to see you. You'd like Simon wants to see Mings and Torres together to see how they go. I think we might actually see that as the starting lineup. Um, anyone see the Villa? The Villa. I'm still going to call it Twitter feed. The Villa Twitter feed today. They started showing players' shirts. And they did show Pau Torres and they did show Ming's shirt and they did show Kanza's shirt. So I'm wondering, but then again, they did show Matty Cash's shirt as well. So I'm wondering, were they giving away anything from the team selection? Leon Bailey's shirt was there as well. Somebody we haven't seen at all this off season. I expect him to get minutes today. Probably even start the game. Maybe we might see Diaby and we might see Diaby and we might see Leon Bailey together. But we will definitely see Leon Bailey today, I think, for certain. Somebody's trying to ring me. Sorry there. Just get rid of that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting team sheet tantrum. A couple of other comments there as well. A normal time for footy says Habs. Yeah, absolutely. 5 o'clock kickoff. My circadian rhythm will definitely thank me for that. Neil Taylor says, doesn't look like it's raining at Croke Park. I know for a fact Paddy's sitting 2 rows up from the field and it's bucketing. Well, it was bucketing at one stage. And if anything like what we've had for the last hour is making its way across Ireland, it's coming for the second half. It's certainly coming for the second half. Thanks very much, Justin. Currently at the game, hoping for an entertaining win. Really appreciate that, Justin. You might let us know if what the atmosphere is like. I mentioned that to you there already. I want to come back to this one. I'm going to star this here for a moment because I want to come back to this because I do want to talk about the Olsen piece once we find out what the team is. But thanks for reminding me, Matt Exas, as well. Dave says, bring back the cave pods, Neil. Maybe so. We'll see. We'll see about those ones. They were interesting ones. Western Oud says, just no injuries, please. Dara, thanks for tuning in after an eventful week over the last week that you've had. John, I'm not reading out that comment about the difference between football and hurling because Paddy will never speak to me again if I read that one out, for sure. I'm going to scroll down here again. Hands 577 or 575 even says, I was at the game in Philadelphia and the atmosphere was amazing. So many Villa fans. That's brilliant to hear. I know of a couple of people who were there and they said it was as good, as any, like the atmosphere there amongst both sets of fans was like it was hopping. It was a real festival, carnival kind of atmosphere. And when the game got going, they said it was loud and it was cheery and it was, it was just a good day out, but also had a real kind of football element to it as well. So I like to hear that as well. Justin, you're back again. Great atmosphere walking around the stadium. Happy to see a lot of Villa fans, more than I was expecting here in the USA. A lot of them have traveled to all the games, so it's great to see, and obviously Max and Simon are going to be joining us on the 9th of September for our live podcast here in Ireland. They are at this as well. Myself and Paddy were supposed to be going over to it, but life gets in the way sometimes, and that didn't happen. And also we will be announcing our last guest for that live podcast. We kind of nearly forgot to announce our last guest for our live podcast on the 9th of September, which is now sold out, unfortunately. I don't know if any more tickets will be coming available for it. So I'm not going to promise that. Like, we've been speaking to the promoters, they've said they can't get any more tickets, but we will not stop trying to see if we can eke any more out of there. But yeah, it's great to have that come into place, and it's not long now. It's only a month and a bit away before we have that day as well. But great to see that atmosphere around there, Justin, too. Teams should be out any moment. The team's out yet? No, not yet. Let's go. Where are we? Does anyone? Somebody said there. Does anyone have an update on Kanza? I'm after losing it there. Yes, somebody asked about for an update on Conza. Oh, there it is. Jake says, anyone have an update on Conza? He was holding his hamstring the other day when he came off. He trained yesterday, as far as I'm aware. Open to correction on that, but it looks like he trained yesterday, and they showed his shirt hanging up in the dressing room today. So I would imagine he will be there, and he will be playing some part of the game today, or at least be an option at some stage. Oh yeah, the away kit, everyone. I'm loving the away kit. I really like it, and we do have a team in here. So let me just share up the team. Let me share my screen here. We have our team in. Share up on the screen, please. So we have Martinez, Cash, Konza, Mings, and Pau Torres. Cash, Konza, Mings, Pau Torres. How's this one going to work? Pau Torres at left back. Oh my days. Everybody, it's happening. McGinn, Kamara, Douglas Luiz, Philogene, Diaby, and Watkins. And on the bench are Robin Olsen, Philip Marshall, Diego Carlos, Yuri Tielemans, Buendia, Digne, Chambers, Coutinho, Bailey, Archer, Revan, Kellyman, and Young. That's a really interesting back four. I think everybody can admit that's a really interesting back four. I like unless it's Cash right-sided kind of wing back, Philogene left-sided wing back, three midfielders, and Diaby playing off Watkins. Even that's blooming exciting. Even that's really exciting. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. I'm a bit thrown by it. I had somebody say to me previously that there was thoughts of playing Pau Torres at left back at stages during the season. That was part of the thinking about bringing him in. But I kind of just dismissed it, if that makes sense. But now I'm going to see it. Now I think we're going to see it. Unless we do see unless we see John McGinn at left wing back. That could happen also too. This is going to be brilliant. I can't wait to see the first 5-10 minutes in this one to try and make out how we're starting, what the starting lineup. I wonder, is there anybody else there that's kind of talking about the lineup and seeing maybe John Townley might have some information on it there. Let us see. Oh, John Townley is something up. Just because he's over there as well. Unai Emery starts Matty Cash, Ezri Konza, Mings, and Torres this afternoon. Diaby will support Watkins as Emi Buendia is named among the bench. Okay, so we've got no more on that one. But that is an interesting team, I think, everyone. I think that's a really interesting team. And I'm kind of glad. I'm really glad we did the team sheet tantrum now. I think I'm really glad we did the team sheet tantrum for all these games because each team has had its own little bit of sparkle in it. Obviously, Yuri Tielemans coming in last week, Diaby last week, Philogene Bidet starting the week before, Kellyman coming on the game before that, should I say? You know, all these little bits and pieces being nice to talk about. So that is really interesting as well. PSK, I see there, says there should be news on an incoming news in the coming days. Excellent. You have been very, very right, very, very often, PSK. So I love to see news like that. So thank you very much for stopping along. So I'm going to just scroll past a couple of the comments there about what the team may or may not be. Yeah, so Steph McMaster says Cash pushing forward on the right. I think potentially we could just see maybe if Pau Torres is in there, it could just be a switch to like obviously everybody's expecting that inverted right back to be the situation, but maybe we go inverted either side depending on who we play. Maybe we have an option to change it up mid game. It's really interesting. And yeah, Ginge AVFC 96 says McGinn left wing back. I've seen stranger things. He's played left back for Aston Villa once before, so I've seen stranger things. It's going to be really interesting to see. The front three are really interesting, I think, for Aston Villa today, or the front two. If it's a back three, it's going to be Diaby playing off Ollie Watkins, which to me is really exciting. Something that when I spoke about Dougie Critchley and I haven't. Yeah, and to another person that I was speaking to from Get German Football News, who we haven't been able to get a time to come on the podcast. They've said don't rule out Diaby being an actual striker for Aston Villa for good portions of the season, which is something that I wasn't initially thinking as well. So we might get to see that today, depending on what the setup is like. But really, no idea until we see this field take the team. Or this team take the field. This field take the team. I hope the field doesn't take the team because that means there'll be injuries. Couple of people mentioning about Pau Torres left back. Yeah, I think it's like, as I say, it's crazy. It's crazy to have this depth and the strength and depth to be able to do that. Bring in somebody for 40 million, close to 40 million, play him at left back. Maybe Mings moves out to left back at times. Maybe there's an interchangeability there. If one goes forward, the other one can tuck in because both of them are ball playing. Maybe it's just a case of getting all our ball players in the field at the same time, see what happens, like a Man City type tactic. But they didn't want to do it with Diego Carlos because bringing in maybe a Matty Cash and having to bring in maybe a Dina as well might be too much of an upheaval. And who do you bring off? Maybe they want to give a centre half and some time out later on in the game. I would imagine they definitely will. And it's really interesting. And the strange thing about this is that this game is the third one of the preseason tour. So you'd expect the team to be coming closer to what day one of opening season was going to be like. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the team of opening day because we still have Valencia, we still have Lazio to play yet. So they're obviously going to be more in tune to playing against Newcastle. This is finishing out the series we have here, and obviously there's been lots of training, so there's going to be time, a lot of miles on the clock over the last 2 weeks or whatever in the States. But it's really interesting to see this anyway. More comments, please. Yeah, Matthew Bambrick makes a good point. Bringing in Pau Torres gives us more added height against the land of the giants. That is, that are some of the Brentford players for sure. Where else are we? So Sam Baggett says, for my money, we'll have Mings at left centre back, Pau central, and Konza right, with Matty Cash at right wing back. The ability to play asymmetrically on either side would be huge this season. I think this is potentially showing our hand to where the flexibility and tactics will be, and the ability to be able to do that. It will be interesting, as I say, if John McGinn starts at left wing back, this really opens up an absolute treasure trove of potentials for in-game shifts and changes. That Unai Emery could make, or Unai Emery is potentially thinking of making as the season goes on. Now, he might just try this out here because this is who he has available to him and wants to give 90 minutes to, and it could be a complete red herring, but it's exciting nonetheless. I think it's exciting nonetheless for sure. Bolg says Philogene could really be the one who breaks into the first team this season. Very exciting. I think that's nearly. I think you nearly write that one in ballpoint pen as opposed to pencil at this stage. I can't see him. I can't see him going anywhere. Based on what he's done so far, to me it doesn't really make sense because what do you do? Because from memory, I think his contract might even be up at the end of the season. So if you're going to sign him on a new contract, you might as well play him around the first team. He's 21 years of age, 22 going on 22, I think. I'm open to correction on the contract situation. I know he signed a contract recently. Don't know whether it was last season or whether it was the season before. But either way, he doesn't have a massive multi-year contract for to the best of my knowledge. But he is somebody who's showing great prowess, and I think that keeping him around could maybe allow us to allocate funds in different areas. And that brings me on to the small conversation point I wanted to have about Olsen. Do we still trust that Emery after reports Olsen is going to remain number 2? The way I look at this, guys, is Unai Emery is most likely prioritizing other things, other areas. Robin Olsen has played 7 games for Aston Villa. He's played 2 cup games with teams that were changed. He's played 5 Premier League games. He hasn't really shone in any of them. Now, do we believe, what I'm trying to get at here is that everybody says, what happens if Emi Martinez gets injured? What happens if Ollie Watkins gets injured at this moment in time? I don't know if Cameron Archer, if Ollie Watkins, God forbid, does something and is out for 6 months, I don't know, can Cameron Archer saddle a full Premier League season? I've never seen him do it. He's done it in the Championship, in 2 loan spells. I've never seen him do it in the Premier League. This isn't me castigating Cameron Archer or anything like that. So what I'm trying to say here is that scoring goals is going to win us games. And I think Unai Emery is going to go out and win games and trust his back 4. And I think he's kind of playing the gamble of, well, a goalkeeper gets statistically gets injured less than a striker. Ideally, he would love to have somebody come in. And to preface this is, let's just say someone comes in. Let's just say El Nasser comes in for Robin Olsen in the morning, 5 million, and take all his wages. I think Aston Villa slam down the phone and pack his bags for him. And that's not that like that's just the reality of football. And then we go looking at bringing in someone else. But when you look at allocation of resources, finances, and also bringing younger players through. You bring a younger goalkeeper through. If you believe in your younger goalkeepers that at the age of 22, 23, that they can be a substitute goalkeeper in the Premier League or maybe even replace Emi Martinez. If you believe in those, you can't just keep bringing in 36, 37-year-olds, 30 plus year old goalkeepers come in and sit on the bench and pick up their wages. So maybe it's an allocation of funds thing that they're kind of going, if we can't get rid of Robin Olsen, we're going to keep him. If we can't sell him, we're going to keep him. 66 international caps. They see him every week in training. Maybe Unai Emery has seen massive improvements in him. Prior to Unai Emery coming in, there's a lot of players we would have sold from this team, and Unai Emery has improved them. I'm willing to give, like, it's not a case for me about trusting Unai Emery or anything. It's a case of, I think when you play the percentages of Emi Martinez getting an injury that will keep you out for a long period of time, at that stage you're probably already fecked anyway, regardless of who your sub goalkeeper is. And at the second point of it, I suppose, is, and I know people are going to say cup games, Europe, cup games in Europe. If we're going to win games, if we're going to go out to win games in Europe, would you not be starting Emi Martinez in those games? Like, if we're going to win the cup competition, the European Conference League, if we're going to win that, would you not start Emi Martinez in every single game? I think you do. So I think it's not a case of he's saying, oh, I'm absolutely delighted with the situation that we have. I think he's smart enough to know that, look, I can't have two goalkeepers, sub goalkeepers here earning 40, 50K a week. I can't have it. I can't go and spend another 5, 6, 7 million on a sub goalkeeper, bring him in and have him earning that money. So until a spot frees up, I'm going to keep the guy that I have and I'm going to try and improve him. And you know what? He's done it with other players and they've gone on to become names in the team sheet that we would be really, really upset at if they weren't on the team sheet anymore. So that's kind of my view on the Robin Olsen piece. I think the priorities are, just to kind of wrap it up in a little bow, I think what he meant by what he said was the priorities are in other positions. He's not prioritizing another goalkeeper at this moment in time. I think the priorities are in other positions. I think we see another right back, which is a priority. I think another striker is a priority, or another attacking player is a priority. And I think after that, if there's pennies down the back of the sofa, and maybe if we have somebody who takes over Robin Olsen, well then, yeah, I think I think it's very viable that potentially could happen. But I'm not as worried about it, like, and it's not a case of, and you know what, I put up a tweet on Twitter today. People who didn't even follow me started DMing me for whatever reason, saying to me, oh my god, I can't believe you like Robin Olsen, good thing I don't listen to your podcast. Never said that. I said Unai Emery's prioritizing other things, other positions. I think that's probably what's happening here. You know, when you strip everything away and you look at it, look at what was said, and look at how he's approached this off season. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's talk more about, let's get your comments there as well. Yes, somebody has said the best thing so far. Brendan, thank you so much. Hit the like button, folks. Thank you. I never do that. I'm very bad. I'm a useless YouTuber from the point of view. Out of nowhere, actually, we had 6K subscribers. There was like 320 people subscribed to the podcast in the last 10 days or something like that. I have no idea. I didn't know that nearly being accosted by a homeless man in Dublin would have gotten me that many followers on YouTube. But it's been amazing. Thank you so much to everybody. If you're new to this and this is the first time coming to the podcast, join in, give us a comment, let me know if this is your first time listening to the pod, because I was blown away by that. Absolutely blown away by it. Where else are we? I'm just going to go back here. Balgas, did we get a fee for Wesley? Didn't see any announced. No. Would you believe fees don't really get announced for Aston Villa anymore? If you notice it and you look at Sky Sports News, a lot of the fees are undisclosed. Like Diaby is still coming up as undisclosed. Pau Torres still comes up as undisclosed there. So I think, we don't have to release it because we're not a publicly limited company. Is my understanding of it. My understanding of the Wesley situation is basically they cover the cost of the last year of his contract, and Villa were like, and then any signing on bonuses or loyalty bonuses. So when you take a look at it, they probably paid Villa something along the lines of, they probably just paid him 2.5 million or something like that to cover the cost of his contract. Indirectly, obviously, because they don't pay it to Villa, they just cover the cost of his contract, if that makes sense. But it's a 1-year deal. It's a permanent contract, so I'd imagine that's what the situation was with that. But I don't know. As I said, I don't know what the answer is. Oh yes, everybody. Stato is here in the house. Thanks for joining, Stato. Stato is going to be doing his watch-alongs as well. So please pop over to Stato. Myself and Paddy don't have we don't have the vocabulary to be able to. Well, we do have the vocabulary, but it's very kind of X-rated vocabulary at times when we watch games. We thought about doing stream-alongs or watch-alongs before, but there's we will be caught, I think, with a lot of infringements on YouTube if we were to do it. So we thought the better of it. But Stato is doing a watch along. So after this, go directly over to his channel and he'll catch you guys for the watch along, and you'll get to know all the nuggets about actual facts, not some of the ones I think I've read or I've remembered from somewhere, which is always interesting too. Pete Tandy says, bring back Tom Heaton. You will know if you've listened to the podcast, you've been here for long enough, that Paddy has alluded to the fact that Tom Heaton would be well received by us anyway, as a reserve goalkeeper. But I think a lot revolves around freeing up that space first. I think really. Where are we here? Paddy on a watch along. If anybody, I think there was somebody that Paddy gave his ticket. So Paddy went to a game. I think it was a Forest game last year. Actually, it was the one I was over at. Paddy's son couldn't make the game, and he has 2 season tickets, Paddy, in the lower hold. So Paddy gave away the season ticket to somebody who watches the podcast, and that guy sat with Paddy for the day. And I said to him afterwards, he goes, "What's Paddy like to watch a match?" He goes, takes it seriously, as in, like, if you think his rants about refs after the games are put on for the camera, they're way worse in the stadium. Put it that way, they're way worse in the stadium. So it's an interesting one. Snail cam, Mark. I completely even forgot about snail cam the last day. About the snail that tried to attack my pint of Guinness. I forgot all about that. So cool. Yeah, it's Paddy BF and blind and ranting about the ref. He's watching like, yeah. As I say, and we could get done for slander and for everything else if we did a watch along with Paddy as well. So, guys, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to do a post-match reaction to this at some stage this afternoon. Maybe when the kids are in bed, I might pop back on. But keep close to social media. Keep close to here as well. I'm going to pop something up here. Obviously, you guys will get the notification, but click the bell. If you guys don't know about this already, if you subscribe to the channel and you click the bell, you'll get a pop-up to notify that we're going live in 30 minutes. So 30 minutes prior to when we do go live. So I will do a post-match on this one, I think, since I'm back in the boudoir. And I'm really looking forward to it. As I say, this team sheet is really interesting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what way it lines out. And I'm also looking forward to an Aston Villa win and some really, really good football. Because, as I say, this Premier League summer series hasn't disappointed so far. I am going to leave it at that, guys. I know I normally do my my roundup of scores, but I'm getting pinged here to come in to rescue a situation indoors. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. See you again for a post match at some stage this evening. Really appreciate the 400 odd of you guys that have popped on for this. It blows my mind. As I say, there's some Irish TV shows that don't get 400 people watching concurrently. So it's actually absolutely blows my mind whenever I see it. I'm really thankful, and it bodes well for the new season ahead as well. See you again later on, everybody. Here's to a great game, and here's to hopefully Villa rounding it out as Summer Series champions. But until later on, all that's left to say is up to Villa.